So, good afternoon, students. I'm audible clearly. Good afternoon, students. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us start with our chapter. Not it means we already started with the chapter, but let us revise what we studied in the previous lectures. So we started with the second chapter in the syllabus. So which is regarding the programming tools which we are using for the data science. So within that, the first we'll see which toolkits we are using. That is Matplotlib, NumPy, Scikit-learn, and NNTK. So after this, we are using visualizing data. That is, we can use bar charts, line charts, and scatter plots. And then we started with the working with the data. So within working with the data, we see how we can read the files, how we can display the contents as line wise, or add the contents by using write command, etc., write mode, etc. Then we have seen the program for the scrapping the web. Scrapping the web, it means that we need to search data from the web. That is, we need to read the data from the web and categorize into as per our requirements. So within that, we have seen the program by using HTML parser in order to parse the page. And as well as we have seen the string methods where we can extract the titles, we can extract the hyperlinks, etc. So it means based on the needs, we can go for. So next is regarding using the APIs. So APIs, it means that application programming interface. So which gives, it means which is in terms of packages where we can, or libraries where already existing state we can use. So let us see what it is. So even though we have mentioned only 4 libraries here, the Panda is also used. So whenever we are cleaning or munging the data, we always need pandas. So even though here we are mentioning about the Matplotlib, NumPy, Scikit-learn, and NLTK, we still need pandas for processing files, etc. Right now we are looking for simple examples, but whenever it comes to the data processing, cleaning, etc., we always need to use pandas. So reading the files, we have seen how to read the files, which are the different modes of opening the files. That is, default mode is read mode. So if I'm giving the file in R mode, it means that it will be in reading the mode only we can read the data. Next, W stands for the writing, where previous contents will be removed. Then next, A stands for append. Append, it means that where we can add the contents to the existing file. And next one is R plus, where we can go for opening the files into read as well as in write mode. Then scrapping the web, it means that it is collecting the raw data or passing the raw data from the website. So out of these three, we have seen the 2 methods. That is by using string methods and regular expressions. The next one is using APIs. So here the example suggested is regarding the Twitter APIs. So what is mean by APIs? So APIs, this is a collection of libraries, existing classes and existing functions or methods are there, which we can use for our common functionalities. So here, Twitter API. So this was the example suggested, but let us see for which purpose this interfaces are required. So there are many internet companies, just like we are having Facebook, Google, Twitter. So these are providing APIs so that we can build our own applications. So you might be thinking why these are providing these APIs. So APIs, these are provided by these companies just because they wanted that other companies should also study their data, and that can be used for the marketing strategies and knowing the existing company. So here, API is a set of programming instructions and standards for accessing web-based software applications. So here, Google is having its own server, Facebook, Twitter, etc. So many more are there. So who are having their large range of customers, and because of which processing data becomes difficult. And also others. It means not only customers data, others. For example, we take example of the Facebook. So we wanted to just check when the Facebook access was maximum, when it was minimum, and which trend is going on. For that purpose, it means we cannot guess that. It means previous data we cannot guess at what time this trend was famous, or right now what is trending on the Facebook, etc. And for this purpose, these companies itself will provide their APIs in terms of multiple languages. And Python is also one of the languages in which the APIs are available. It means the libraries are available. And also these companies are also providing a wrapper just like we are having the web, uh, it means scrapping the web, uh, just like we are using a library. Similarly, wrapper, it means that the container within which I'm having my APIs. So wrapper is an API client that are commonly used for wrap the API into an easy use functions by doing the API calls itself. It means that wrapper is acting as a container within which my API, the functions will be there. So whatever APIs I'm using, API doesn't stand for any class or any method. So this can be anything. Interfaces, it means that this is use of medium of access. That is how the existing contents I can use. So just like in case of Java, we are having the APIs in terms of packages and classes. Similarly, in terms of Python, we are having these in terms of functions. Okay. So for this purpose, these are wrapped into a wrapper. So these wrappers are provided by these internet companies. For example, Google. So there are many companies, not only these one or two. There are multiple companies which are providing APIs as well as wrapper. So this is a list of few of them which are most commonly used. For example, Amazon, Bing, Blogger, Facebook, eBay, Google Maps, Instagram, LinkedIn, Netflix, Pinterest, Spotify, Twitter, Wikipedia, Yahoo, and YouTube. So these are the most widely accessed sites where different trends can be there, or with respect to the time the trends changes, or during the festival, etc. The it will we have a new vibe, and because of which we wanted to study the marketing strategies, and for this purpose it will provide us APIs as well as wrappers for those sites. Not only in Python, in R programming languages and other programming languages also, we are having this APIs. So how we can go for this? So here we are not doing for the implementation. So there are, it means multiple steps are there. So multiple steps where we need to open the account for that. For example, if I'm talking about the Amazon, so I should have an Amazon account. And by going to the site, I can go for getting the key. It means as a user only, I can get a key. So to get an API key, it means to get the API collection. So first we need to get an API key. So first we need to go for subscribe the Twitter API, then use Twitter API with Python to populate a database. So which will provide us a database. And from that database, we can cover the topics. It means which I wanted to study. For example, I wanted to study for the recent festival Holi. Then I will type Holi. Now I wanted to search for the next upcoming topic, just like a new festival, that is Padwa. Then I will type these keywords, and from that I will know what was the trends during the previous, and that data we will generate in order to train the charts in the Excel. It means that here from the Twitter APIs, we are able to collect data from the previous history. That is how these many users or other customers access to that internet company, we will know the trend. Trend, it means that right now, what is most common topic in the discussion and on which the public talks about. So it means trend which is followed by the many people. So for this purpose, if you wanted to study, then we can go get this API key. So for the step, multiple steps are there. And that's why I have not taken the implementation here. So here, first, as we are given the example for the Twitter API, so we need to go for opening the Twitter account. By using any Gmail account, you can open the Twitter account, and from that we can go for getting the API key. So API key only will help us to get the databases and study the data. So for Twitter API, there are multiple tools. It means not only that is whatever state is there. So this can be used just like by using many tools. So Twitter API is a set of programming tools that can be used to learn from and engage with the conversation on the Twitter. So it means for that purpose, we are using the Twitter APIs. So there are multiple Python libraries that are available for the Twitter API. That is most commonly used is Quippy. So this was, it means most widely used. I think this is available for almost 10 to, 7 to 8 years. This is available, I think, Quippy. And then whatever the previous new are there, it means this is the oldest one and these are the new one. It means younger than the Quippy. Then Python Twitter tools, Python Twitter, Twitter, Twitter APIs, and Twitter search. So these are the few of the libraries are there which are available for studying the Twitter API. So we can use many tools for that, but we will prefer for the Quippy, the first very tools which is used for the Python library. Okay, you note down the step for a minute and let us go for the next point. So then let us go for the next point, that is cleaning and munging the data. So this words cleaning you might have studied. Munging is also one of the, it means converting raw data to the actual format data. So whenever, if we consider a real world data, consider that we are collecting a data. So right now, I wanted to collect data from the each of the departments. Okay. So each of the department, if I wanted to get the data, consider that I wanted to get the data for the uh, okay, consider that we wanted to get data for the clothing size. Okay, so I selected a coordinator from each of the class and asked them to get the measurements. Okay, so when it comes to the measurement, I cannot guarantee that each of my coordinator will select the same unit. Okay, so it means that someone might have inches as a unit of taking the measurement, someone might have centimeters as a taking the size of the measurements. It means whatever their scale is there, that can be changing. It means I cannot guarantee. So for this purpose, even though they are human, so it is not it means previously, even though I have given the multiple instructions, but when it comes to the getting data from the multiple sources, we cannot guarantee that data will be having a same measurement unit. Okay, or same scale can be there. Okay, and for this purpose we may not get the satisfactory data or data in the all the sizes, etc. Okay, for example, if I decided to write the name, I will write SS Kadam. Someone might write Sanjuni Sachin Kadam, someone might write Sanjuni Kadam. It means here I cannot guess what can be the input. It means even though I am asking only for the name, so it can be different from it. The way of giving the name, that can be changing from person to person. And hence, whenever a data entry is made or data is entered into a system, so it may be a raw data which cannot be directly taken for the processing. Okay. Next, varying the nature, that is real world measurements versus satisfaction scores. For example, I may take Kadam Sanjuni as a name. Someone might take Sanjuni Kadam as name. So it means that whatever my uh, nature of data is there, that can be different. Or for example, someone might represent into a Excel, someone might represent into a Word. or etc. It means multiple sources can be there in which my data can be given. So whatever my measurements are there, so that can be changing. And then next, and it can be quite dirty as well. For example, given that the aggregated data can be from a range of sources subject to the human errors during the data entry. Consider during the insertion of data, someone might take the name, age, etc. Within that, by default, age is considered, we have given the 18 as a value, but someone while entering has given 1 is skipped and only 8 is given. It means any mistake can be there from the human while entering the data. So do you think that whenever we are performing the processing of this data, we should have this data directly passing to the system? No, we cannot pass that data directly to the system. And for this purpose, we need fundamental steps so that we can have data in the similar formats, in the same scale, and in the same measurement unit. Okay, so here, whenever we wanted to process a data, hence a fundamental step is before any model can be built, whether in the finance or data science, to munch the data. Munch the data, it means that we need to have the uniform data. Uniform data in all measurements same, representation is also same and in the same format. So okay, for that multiple steps are done. So out of that, the first one is scaling. Scaling, where we scale data so that they are a similar magnitude. Similar magnitude, just like if I wanted to take the percentage. So someone might take out of marks, that is 700, and how many marks the student has got. So this is one way. Someone might take into the percentage, someone might take into the grade, grade or pointers, etc. It means I cannot pass that grade or pointers into the percentage, etc. We should have the same magnitude. So here we need to convert, that is scale into the appropriate format. So this is first step. Next one is transformation. Transformation, it means that where we change the data nature of values in features or variables, for example, qualitative or categorical or to the numeric. It means if I say that is this is middle range, low range or high range, etc. So it means that we should have some numeric units for this data. So it means we need to convert so that we can measure those data. So this is transformation. And next one is cleaning. Cleaning, it means that where we deal with the missing or bad data. Missing, it means that data is not available, then we need to correct the data. For example, previous example, 8 was written. So I can expect that there 18 can be there, or possible answers can be, we can put there. Or bad data, wherever age is required, a numeric value is required, some alphabetical values are 18. This word might be written. So here we need to clean the data. Wherever bad data or missing data is there, we need to also clean those data. So these are the 3 steps we perform: scaling, transformation, and cleaning. Take a minute. In case of finance also, consider that we are taking data from the multiple sources. Some data might be in lakhs, some might be in thousands, some might be in crores, etc. So we should have the same unit for every unit of data. For example, either in lakhs, either in crores, or either in thousands. So same magnitude should be there. Same type of measurement unit should be there for the finance data as well. So then next step, so what we are doing into the data cleaning. So data cleaning is a technique which helps to convert improper data into meaningful data. And whereas data munging is process in which data gets cleaned, extracted and identified. So data cleaning is the first step within a data munging. So extracted, it means that uh, required data is extracted and identified what may be required and what not may be required. So it is also a way of interacting with the perfect data set together. So this data set plays an important role in common methods like exploration and data analysis. So here, whenever we are got any rough data, whenever we are taking data from, for example, in terms of medical science, if you wanted to take the data from the patient, so multiple data might be collected from the multiple hospitals regarding the multiple diseases, etc. So there we cannot expect that each one will provide the data as per the requirement. So in that case, where a cleaning of data might be required, that some spelling mistakes might be there, some missing terms might be there, in not in proper English, etc. So here, not only structured data, but data cleaning, it means that whenever we are looking for the data, we should have the clear idea about what are the sentences. That is, it should not give the any ambiguity, etc. And for this purpose, data cleaning is required, where we clear the spells, enter the data which is not in format, and whatever the words are given, that will be properly arranged so that it will give a meaningful data. And then that can be used for giving as a first in or a first step towards the data munging, and extracted where I wanted to take only few of the diseases data, and then identified, that is out of multiple diseases which data we wanted to collect, or out of complete 25 to 60 features, which features I wanted to identify as a key measures for my data processing. So here for this purpose, and that data set only we will be using for our application. And for this purpose, data munging and cleaning is required. Next one is manipulating data. Manipulating data, it means that, of course, manipulation, it means that where we perform, that is addition or performing the updates to my data. So data manipulation is a process in Python programming language that enables users in data organization in order to make reading or interpreting the insights from data more structured and comprises of having better design. Okay, so that is a data manipulation. Data manipulation where we enable users to perform, that is some processing on our data so that it will go for easy reading and interpretation. Take a minute to read the slide. Next is rescaling. Rescaling, it means that bringing all the measurements to the same units or same size, same unit of measurements. So rescaling is a data standardization. It is a process where we bring data under same scale. This will help us to analyze and feed data to the models. For example, if we are talking about the distance, so distance can be given in terms of kilometer, meter. So these units can be available whenever we are measuring. So either we should have data in terms of kilometer or either we should have data in meter. Again, if we are talking about the mass, then data can be available in terms of grade or data can be available in terms of percentage. So here this variable unit should not be there. It should have data into the same unit. And if not in the unit, we should convert into the either of the unit. Either we should convert data into the kilometers or either we should create data into the meters. So that will be much more easier to handle. So then next point is dimensionality reduction. So dimensionality reduction. So this point, I think previously also I explained that here, if consider we are talking about a cube. So cube dimensionality reduction, it means that instead of having 3-dimensional, I will reduce it to 2-dimensional. So that this will be having the analysis of the 1 dimension. So here dimensionality reduction, it means that whenever we are talking about the machine learning for a given data set, we will have multiple attributes or multiple features or multiple data dimensions can be there. So these dimensions, not only 3 or 4 dimensions, so this can have multiple arrays. So when we talk about these dimensions or these values, so these are talk in terms of machine learning. We called these variables or this data as a features. Features, it means that these are some value sets. So in machine learning classification problem, there are often too many factors on the basis of which the final classification is done. So these factors are basically variables called features. So it means, for example, if I'm talking about a flower, so in the flower, I may have the stain length, I may have the total diameter of my flower, then how many petals are there, whether stigma is there, what is the color. In terms of color, I will have RGB values, then each size of my petal, etc. It means that height, length, it means multiple dimensions can be there. So here, whenever we are talking about this, these dimensions or these values are stored in terms of features. Okay, features, it means that these are the factors which will help me to classify my object. Okay, so the higher the number of the factors, it is harder to get visualized. That is training set and then work on it. It means that if consider I'm having 100 variables, then comparing each of them, which variable is getting changed, then on which basis I need to make the classification, that will become a difficult. And some of the features are also correlated. Correlated, it means that, for example, if I'm taking the flower length complete and then petal length, so and then stigma length, all these comes under my key features. But here, if I'm having, even though I'm having the overlapping petal and stigma length, still I can know that here the data is given by somewhat different, or I can combine this data into a single attribute. So it means that is data is correlated. Correlated, it means that interrelated to each other, and then hence we can see that the data is redundant. Okay, and in order to have removal of this redundant data, dimensionality reduction algorithms comes into play. It means that there we use a dimensionality reduction algorithms. So dimensionality reduction algorithms or dimensionality reduction, it means that instead of having n features, I will have some m features where m value is greater than the n value. Previously, I was studying 100 attributes. Right now, I'm studying only 50 attributes. So which are correlated. What are correlated between the 100 features are there or 100 values are there. Now I'm representing the same attribute into my 50 features. or 50 values, so that it will be easy for me or my processor to change or to analyze this 50 values as compared to the 100 values. And it will be much more easier to uh, go for the feature selection and feature extraction. So dimensionality reduction is process of reducing the number of random variables under consideration by obtaining a set of principal values, variables, and it can be divided into feature selection and feature extraction. That is dimensionality reduction. This can be used for feature selection, that is which features we wanted to reduce or which are redundant, and feature extraction. Feature extraction, it means that this flower belongs to this category, this flower belongs to this category. So which features or which uh, insights we wanted to gain, that will be called as a feature extraction. Or what is a rule, or what is a feature we wanted to extract, that can be taken from this dimensionality reduction. So here we completed our second chapter. So even though we had not taken multiple, only few of the programs we have seen, only web scraping and reading the file. So, but remaining implementations we will see into the machine learning. So still, please go through the syllabus. Let me know if any of the points you wanted me to repeat. If so, let me know into the chat window. I will wait for 2 minutes and then we will start with the third chapter. Okay, let us revise this chapter into 10 minutes. So first, let us see which are the toolkits using Python which we are going to use. So first library we are going to use is matplotlib. So this is library for plotting the graphs. It means just like we are drawing the bar charts, line charts, etc. And for this purpose, we are using this plots. So for which most probably the matrix will be input, that is multi-dimensional matrix will be input, and from that it will draw the, or it will plot the graphs. Not only graphs, any type of the charts, etc. it will draw. So for this purpose, we are using matplotlib. Next one is NumPy, which stands for the numerical Python. So numerical Python, this will be used for dealing with the arrays, matrices, vectors, etc. So which provides us advanced performing or advanced functions on working with the numericals. So this is also a library, and this is a matplotlib. This is also dependent on the NumPy, because for the plotting, mostly we use matrix as an input or multi-dimensional array, and because of which NumPy is a dependency of a matplotlib. Next is scikit-learn. So this is used for using machine learning algorithms. This is having libraries for supervised, unsupervised, then data visualization, data analysis tools, etc. All these methods and APIs are available into this library. The next is NLTK, which stands for the Natural Language Toolkit Library. So this toolkit library, which is used for checking the natural languages performance, where we wanted to study the comments, where we wanted to see the words, etc., where we wanted to conversion like audio to video, audio to chat or chat to audio, etc. For this recognizing, etc., we use this library, which deals with the natural language and multi languages also. Okay, and pandas, this is also one of the fifth library which is widely used into Python, and this is mostly used for cleaning data or some other tasks, etc. The next, visualizing data, it means that how we wanted to represent our data. So when it comes to tables, etc., we might display the data into figures, etc., but that is difficult to understand as well as to analyze. But when it comes to the graphical presentation in terms of 2 dimensions, then it becomes much more easier. And for this purpose, we are having bar charts where bar will be represented into a chart to represent a value, then line charts where we connect the dots, that is continuous values in lines, and scatter plots where data is scattered, not continuous. And for a single value of x and y, I can have multiple x and multiple y. And for this purpose, scatter plot, here we are not connecting the points only, the plots will be there or points will be there in terms of scattered plots. So these are the visualizing tools. So here, these are the libraries, these are the visualizing data, and then which APIs we are using. So first, working with data, we can have data into the files. For this purpose, we can go for reading the files. So reading the files, we can open the file by using F equal to open and passing the file path. So again, there are multiple modes in which files can be opened: R, W, A, R plus, etc. So these are the modes in which we can open our file. This stands for the read, write, append, or mode, etc. So based on the existing file and the mode of opening, so this will decide how to open the file, and based on that, it can perform the further operation. Just like we can write the contents to the file which is opened into write mode, and R plus, it means that we are opening the files into read mode as well as in write mode, where we can seek the pointer wherever we want and it can perform the required action, just like writing as well as reading. Append, it means that adding the existing contents, adding the new contents to the existing file as well as the end of the file. Next, scrapping the web. Scrapping the web, it means that here we wanted to go for studying the website. We wanted to extract data from the website, just like text data, getting the title, getting the hyperlinks. So for this purpose, we can use this. The next, using the APIs, just like Twitter API, we can use author sites APIs in order to study the website, where we wanted to go for searching the trends. And for this purpose, the wrappers are also available. The next, cleaning and munging the data. Cleaning and munging data, it means that whatever raw data we are having in terms of different in nature, different in scale or measurements, for that purpose, pre-processing is required. So these are the pre-processing techniques which are applied on the data for making this data available for the analysis. Okay, I cannot say that if I'm giving the units as kilometer 2.5 and then giving other dimension as 200 meters, then in terms of data entry, so this will be 2.5 and 200, even though the data is having different measurements. So here, this might result into a false conclusion. And for this purpose, we need to go for cleaning and munging data, where we go for manipulating the data. Then next, rescaling, converting to the same scale, and dimensionality reduction. Dimensionality reduction, it means that removing those attributes or combining those attributes which are correlated and removing the redundant attributes. and hence it will be easy for feature selection and feature extraction. So okay, this is about the second chapter. So let me tell you, during the next lecture, that is we are having the next lecture on the Friday. So you can expect the unit test 1 on the chapter 1 MCQ test, and some other Friday we will go for chapter test on the second chapter as well. If there is no doubt, let us go for the next chapter now. So third chapter is regarding the mathematical foundations. Mathematical foundations, it means that we have seen the libraries, that is in the second chapter we have seen the libraries which can be used for multiple operations. Then again, how to draw the charts, it means which type of charts can be. But when it comes to the feature selection and feature extraction, we need to apply some mathematical formulas so that we can come to some conclusions. And for this purpose, we should know which are the mathematical operations we can perform on the features or which we can perform on the data. And for this purpose, the unit third makes it available those features or those mathematical functions which we can apply on the feature extraction or existing data. So let us see the syllabus. So, okay, here the first topic is regarding linear algebra. Linear algebra, it means that where we are performing some linear algebraic function, algebraic operations on vectors and matrices. The next, we are having the main three, it means all are important, but next comes a statistics. So where statistics, it means that describing a single set of data, correlation, then Simpson's paradox, correlation and casuations. So these are the statistics techniques which we will be studying. The next, probability. In the probability, dependence and independence, then conditional probability, then Bayes theorem, random variables, then continuous distributions, the normal distribution. So these probability techniques we are learning. And the next one, the central limit theorem, that is hypothesis and inference. So for this purpose, we are having the multiple testings, that is statistical hypothesis testing, confidence intervals, then p-hacking and Bayesian inference. So this is the syllabus which we are learning for the third chapter. So out of this, this first point is might be very familiar with you, but remaining theorems, etc. So these are the most of the theorems are available wherever feature extraction we wanted to perform. Okay. Then let us go for the first point, that is linear algebra. And within that linear algebra, we are learning for vectors and matrices. In terms of linear algebra, we are having multiple concepts like scalar, vector, etc. So first is what is meant by a scalar value. Scalar value, it means that which is having a value, that is only magnitude is there. Whereas when it comes to the vector, vector is having magnitude as well as a direction. So when it comes to data, in terms of data science or in terms of Python, etc., where we wanted to perform the operation, so each of these value represents a feature. Feature, for example, what is the height of this student, what is the height of this student, what may be the weight, what may be the weight, then etc., age, etc. It means that these are some values which is representing some characteristics. And for this purpose, we use this vectors and matrices. When it comes to the vector, vector is a single dimensional array or single dimensional matrix. Okay, either it can be vertical matrix or it can be horizontal matrix as well. But vector always represents a single feature. Okay, vector is used for representing a single feature, a set of values for that feature for existing data set. Okay, so whereas scalar doesn't represent any feature, etc. It always represents a single value. Okay, then next, a matrix. Matrix is a multi-dimensional data. Multi-dimensional data, it means that this represents a multiple value. For example, right now this is 2 by 2 matrix, where each column might represent a different feature, or each row might represent a different feature. So here matrix, this is multi-dimensional array. Vector, this is a single dimensional array. And scalar is simply a value. And when it comes to the tensor, tensor represents a multi-dimensional array of arrays. Okay, so it means that every element of this tensor is a separate matrix or horizontal or vertical matrix, etc. So let us see the terms. And vector of numbers or data is a vector. Sorry, an array of numbers. Data is a vector. So we can assume that any column in the data set is a feature vector. It means I can have the multi-dimensional data. So within that, I can say each column is a separate vector, or each row represents a separate vector. So to create a vector, we simply create one-dimensional array, just like vectors. So these arrays can be represented horizontally or vertically. In either the way, we can represent a vector. So regarding creating vectors and vector operations, we will see into the next lecture. 3 minutes are remaining. Right now, we'll stop the lecture. But please don't leave the meet. Let me take the attendance. Okay, I will share the screen again so that you can study the syllabus or you can read the slide. I will stop the recording first.